Got some late breaking news from last night. Welcome back to Views with Hughes, Jennifer News. This is Jerome Hughes and story of the hour. Nelson Peltz sells entire Disney stock. Now, this isn't good for Bob Iger, and this is the part one to a two-part video on Nelson Peltz and Disney stock. So let's go ahead and get right into the story. Now, we all remember what happened with the shareholders vote and everything that took place a few months ago, earlier this year. And to say the least, that's what led to the beginning of the fall of Disney stock and stuff. And now we see that Disney stock is at its lowest point and everything, around like almost $100 a share, or could be a little over $105 a share. But either way, it took a big hit, and I guarantee you, right now, it's going to be an even bigger hit. Okay, and the fact of the matter is, going to go ahead to a video and stuff from CNBC. Okay.
Here on Disney, Scott Wapner's got the details. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Melissa, thanks so much. Well, the news is that I'm told from a source that Trian's Nelson Peltz is out of Disney stock completely, and that he sold all of his stock at close to $120 a share. I think if we look at Disney now, it's about $100, almost even. It's such interesting news. I mean, we're reporting this now, but it's going to be reflected, of course, when the 13Fs come out, when the next release of those happens. And as all of you know, he has a long history in this name. I don't think anybody can forget when he famously ended his first proxy fight live on CNBC last year, and then he waged another one. He recently lost that vote with some 31% of the vote, and said at the time that he could be back if Bob Iger failed to, quote, keep his promises. Trian made about $1 billion in the investment, so it was a good investment for the firm, though obviously frustrating given the results of the proxy fight in which Peltz was seeking a seat on the board. I think you also know that Disney's been going through a transition of sorts where, you know, it says it plans to turn a profit in the streaming business later on in the year. They've had layoffs as they look to get leaner. They've also had questions about ESPN's future, and there's that so-called skinny bundle that Disney plans to launch later this year. The big issue, of course, is the issue of succession, and that is still, of course, on the table. So Peltz may be gone, but that critical issue remains unresolved, and we'll just have to follow this story and see where it goes from here. But Peltz is out completely, selling all of his Disney stock at close to $120 a share, according to a source.
Wow, that is indeed crazy. All right, so it's crazy, but this seems so surprising and everything, you ask me. But the fact of the matter is, Nelson Peltz sold his entire Disney stock. Now, will he be back? I don't know. But the fact remains is that Bob Iger, this may be a bad look for him, okay? But Nelson Peltz, he's an activist investor known for trying to influence companies to make changes. He sold all of his shares in the Walt Disney Company, all right? Now, Nelson Peltz and his investment firm, Trian Fund Management, sold the shares of about $120 for a share, which resulted in a profit around $1 billion. Now, this information comes from a CNBC report, which cited a person familiar with the matter. And Nelson Peltz decided to sell his Disney stock a few weeks after he lost that, high-profile battle with Disney's management, as I told you before. And back in April, Disney's existing board of directors was reelected and stuff in a sham election during the Disney company's annual shareholder meeting, and defeating the candidates proposed by Nelson Peltz and his investment firm, Trian Fund Management, and even another firm, Blackwater's Capital. And this was one of the most expensive, contests for the board control ever. Now, Nelson Peltz and Trian had nominated Nelson Peltz himself and the former Disney chief financial officer, Jay Rasulo, to join Disney's board. And after losing the vote, Trian expressed disappointment, but they put out statements out there thanking the Disney shareholders and stuff for their support. And they said that they were proud of their efforts to help Disney focus on creating value for shareholders and improving its governance. Now, most of Disney's shares that Nelson Peltz owned were actually through shares held by Ike Perlmutter, the billionaire former chairman of Marvel Studios. And basically altogether, Nelson Peltz and the Trian Fund Management owned more than 32 million shares of Disney. And before this, Nelson Peltz had tried to, get a seat on Disney's board of directors. But Nelson Peltz withdrew his nomination in February 2023 after Disney announced significant cost-cutting measures. Basically, he's trying to leave it up to Bob Iger to fulfill his promise, and Bob Iger didn't fulfill that said promise. Okay, but at that time, Nelson Peltz, like I said, he wanted to make sure that the CEO Bob Iger would follow through on his promises to actually improve the company's performance. All right, and we all saw that verbatim that didn't happen, and he didn't live up to that because there was back-to-back failures in the box office, and Nelson Peltz got tired of it. Nelson Peltz even visited the Walt Disney World as where he's pretending to be a paying customer at the theme park and stuff, to go ahead and do his own little investigation. And that was really commendable and bold of Nelson Peltz, if you ask me. But at the same time, now we see that Nelson Peltz and Trian Fund Management are no longer confident in Disney, period. Now, does this mean that he's going to come back one day to try to go ahead and buy the shares again, become a shareholder for Disney again, and then he's going to try to once again get onto the board seats? Or do you think that he's going in a different direction and stuff with all this, going to invest in something different that's bigger, that he would deem as bigger than Disney? Because right now, I guarantee you, Bob Iger is going to try to say either bad things about this, or he's just going to deflect against it when he's asked about it. And I guarantee you, the mainstream media is not going to really, give any pushback against Bob Iger on what Nelson Peltz did and why this led to Nelson Peltz having to sell the stocks. But there's also, like you said in the video, there's also the issue of succession and stuff. Who's going to replace Bob Iger when he's gone? All right, as the Disney CEO, because you may have some other people out there who may be gunning for Bob Iger's position too, as CEO. But the fact of the matter still remains how, Nelson Peltz actually sold his stock. Okay, Nelson Peltz sold all of the Disney stock and everything. And if you ask me, this is pretty crazy. But we're gonna have more about that like later today and stuff. But as I stated before, Nelson Peltz sold his entire Disney stock, which with a profit of $1 billion. Now, he made a good profit. That doesn't mean that Disney's successful and everything. But the fact of the matter is, if Disney was more successful, he would have an even bigger profit. Okay, but yeah, this is all coming late and breaking and everything. And the fact remains that Disney is still in shambles. Nelson Peltz lost confidence in the company, or he could be possibly going ahead and planning to make some other moves on this particular matter. So, I want your thoughts about this in the comments below. What do you think about Nelson Peltz having to sell his entire Disney stock? Do you think it's a big mistake, or do you think it was done, or do you think it was good? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you have on this particular matter. If you enjoyed what I shared in this video, go ahead, smash the like button, share far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already, and you enjoyed all the content I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification, so that way you'll be notified of future uploads and updates. Until then, peace.